Atelier Wen just made a $30,000 watch, and that's a big deal. Not just because of the price, but because of who they are. This is a young brand that started selling watches for $700. So when they announced the Inflection, a $30,000 tantalum and enamel masterpiece powered by a Girard-Perregaux movement, I'll admit, even I had to stop and think, can they really pull this off? And that's what this video is all about. Atelier Wen's big bet. Why it's risky, why I think it'll work, and why it might actually change how we think about independent watchmaking. When most brands start out, they pick a lane. You're either luxury from day one, like FP Journe or Greubel Forsey, or you start small, building affordable, enthusiast-driven watches and slowly move up. Almost no one successfully goes up because it's hard to convince collectors to follow you from $700 to $30,000. But Atelier Wen isn't most brands. Their first watch, the Porcelain Odyssey, launched in 2018 for $720. They had beautifully made Chinese porcelain dials and elegant proportions. Then came the Perception, around $3,200 with those incredible hand-guilloche dials made by Master Chang Yukai. The kind of craftsmanship no one expected from a young Chinese-influenced brand. The Ancestra, released earlier this year at $5,850, added a French-made movement and even more refinement. So Atelier Wen's been steadily climbing, not just in price, but in ambition. And that's what makes their next step, the Inflection, such a bold move. Because this isn't a small jump, this is a leap, straight into haute horology territory. Most brands wouldn't risk it, but Atelier Wen's history is full of risks that have paid off. Last year, they released a Perception Hong, a full-tantalum collaboration with Revolution. It was $10,000, triple the price of the steel Perception, and it sold out instantly. And for good reason. Tantalum is one of the hardest materials in watchmaking, denser than gold, darker than titanium, and extremely difficult to machine. Even high-end brands rarely touch it, because it eats through tooling and is almost impossible to polish evenly. But Atelier Wen didn't just do it, they did it really well. And that watch proves something important. They could play in the higher leagues without losing their identity. So when I heard their next watch would again be full tantalum and cost $30,000, I knew this was more than just a product launch, it was a statement. Now, on paper, that's a huge risk, but there is precedent. Ming started with a $900 watch and now regularly sells pieces over $30,000, all while maintaining their core following. They've shown that if a brand builds credibility, collectors will follow them up the ladder. And Atelier Wen has done exactly that. They've never chased hype, they've earned every step through quality and craft. So yes, it's a big bet, but it's one that actually makes sense. I had seen the Inflection a few times under embargo before it launched on Robin Tallendier's wrist, one of the brand's co-founders. Even then, before I knew what it was, it caught my eye. It had that Atelier Wen geometry, but the way the light curved across the surfaces was different, softer, more organic. And when I finally got to wear it, the green U model, I was blown away. The heft of the tantalum, the way the enamel dial glows when you look at it, and the overall refinement, this felt like a completely new level for Atelier Wen. It wasn't just good for the price anymore, it was just good, period. The Inflection doesn't abandon the design of the Perception, it really evolves it. Where the Perception was sharp, angular, and architectural, the Inflection is sculptural. Every surface curves, there are no flat planes anywhere. Atelier Wen talks about the design as a play on yin and yang, brushed and polished surfaces, concave and convex curves, weight and lightness, and when you have it in hand, you can actually see what they mean. Despite the density of tantalum, it doesn't feel heavy or clumsy. The curved case and short 45mm lug-to-lug make it incredibly wearable. And visually, it feels calmer, like the design has matured. It's the Perception's older, wiser sibling. Now, if Atelier Wen's story has a through line, it's the dials. And this might be their best yet. The Inflection's dial is made of Grand Few enamel, crafted by Kong Lingjun, one of China's foremost enamel artisans. Each dial is hand-painted with a powdered glass and fired up to 850 Celsius, layer by layer, until the right tone is achieved. Half of them don't survive the process. That's how delicate it is. The green U version I've been wearing starts as a pale mint at the center and deepens to a rich viridian at the edge. It's not bright or flashy, it's subtle and refined. It just looks great without trying too hard, but it will definitely get noticed when you're wearing it. The green dial works really well with the gray-blue tone of the tantalum, and the color shift nicely as the light changes. Inside is the Girard-Perregaux GP03300, a movement that's been used in GP's own watches. But here it's been completely reworked for Atelier Wen. It's extra thin, just 3.36mm, with a 48-hour power reserve and adjustments in 5 positions. But it's not just a technical choice, It's symbolic. Atelier Wen started with Chinese movements, moved to French with the Ancestra, and now they're using Swiss. I've heard some chatter about them moving away from Chinese movements, but I'm not concerned. The brand is still clearly rooted in Chinese inspiration. That's part of their DNA. When you start playing at this level, you have to work with the best, and in high-end watchmaking, that still means Swiss. Finishing is also top-notch. The bridges are shaped like flowing wind patterns from traditional Chinese paintings, plated in dark ruthenium and engraved in rose gold. Even the rotor follows that same motif, skeletonized, swirling, perfectly aligned as it spins. You could say that the movement tells a story. It's one about East meeting West. Now let's talk about how it wears. The watch is 40mm across, 45mm lug to lug, and I measured the thickness with calipers at 10.6mm thick, including the crystal. That's thinner than it looks in photos, and on the wrist, it feels incredibly balanced. Sure, tantalum is dense, but the ergonomics are spot on. But it's the kind of weight that feels premium, not punishing. The bracelet's also beautifully made. It has brushed H-links with mirror polished chamfers and attachment links, and Atelier Wen's on-the-fly micro-adjust system that gives you 4 size settings on the wrist. After wearing it for just a few days, I genuinely didn't want to take it off. It's that rare mix of comfort, detail, and presence that very few watches get right. And honestly, it's hard to believe that this came from a brand that started under $1,000. So here's the big question. Can Atelier Wen actually sell a $30,000 watch? I think they can, and they will, because they've earned the trust of collectors. They built a reputation for delivering craftsmanship that outperforms expectations. And this watch doesn't feel opportunistic, it feels inevitable. They've shown the world that Chinese watchmaking can compete at the highest levels, and this watch is their proof. They don't need to sell thousands, they just need a handful of collectors who see what they're doing and want to be part of that story. And those collectors exist. I know plenty of them. The perception was a watch that made people say, wait, a brand inspired by Chinese craftsmanship can do this? The Inflection is the one that says, that same vision can stand alongside the very best in the world. It's Atelier Wen's big bet, but it's also their coming of age moment. And yes, it's truly an inflection point. After wearing it, seeing that enamel dial shift from mint to deep green in different lighting, and feeling the heft of tantalum on my wrist, I think they've nailed it. It's by far my favorite Atelier Wen watch to date. This isn't just another release, it's a kind of watch that puts the rest of the industry on notice, showing that great watchmaking doesn't have to come from Switzerland. So what do you think? Is this the right move for Atelier Wen, or is it too much of a stretch for such a young brand? Would you spend $30,000 on a watch from a company like this, or stick with the established names? Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more watch reviews and stories like this, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.